Alrighty, well, here we are. We're gonna just be doing a movie review. We went to go see Ford versus Ferrari. We just got a little early showing. We just came out of the theater, and we just probably want to break down the movie, give a little movie review. We've done the movie review on Joker. Now we're just gonna break down Ford versus Ferrari for you guys, and give you our perspective on how we felt the movie impacted us, and just a little word from everybody about how they felt about it. So, I mean, whoever wants to start off first. Alrighty, so.
So just what better way for Ford versus Ferrari than to come out of Garage.Talk? But my perspective is going to be different than these two freaking car enthusiasts. I'm just going in there with the mind frame of if it's a good movie or not, and if it's worth to watch. And that's what I seen today. It has a Matt Damon and Christian Bale in it, and those guys are pretty legit in acting already in the past. So it kind of sells it for itself, just to go watch it for them too. But when you see them in action, and just that it's that true story, that based on a true story, that always grabs my attention. So when you put them all together and you watch it, you see them acting, you see the details that you didn't know before, and then you see it come out on screen, and it's something else of how all this started just because, two guys and their pride, basically, trying to get the better car, the best car, the Le Mans race, and trying to win it. And it's just amazing to me just to see. I bet you a lot of things, and just from the beginning of time, all started with trying to be the better, company, try to be the better men. And then you got movies coming out about them, and it's pretty interesting just to actually watch it and see it play by play and see it from beginning to end. And just, I think we laughed a few times. We were just stuck on it a few times, and I think it just had every type of emotion. Even at the end, you see what happens at the end, and one of the characters, doesn't, finish the race properly, if that makes any sense. But it's good. I think a movie that has all that and has a great storyline, especially coming from a true base storyline, it's like 5 out of 5, man. It's good in my book.
Yeah, this movie to me, being a car enthusiast, I love cars. Doesn't matter what brand or what type of engine it is, but going into this movie, not knowing that much about how the racing division started for Ford, it was a cool history, cool lesson of how they started and how everything started, and the racing division that Ford didn't even want to, but they toughened up and they just went in,
What'd you get out of it, from really liking cars? If somebody likes cars, how are you gonna tell them to go watch it? I want to hear what you would tell someone. You know what I'm saying?
If, for example, for Tapatio, if he loves Ford, well, I already know he's gonna go watch it because it's Ford and he has a Fox body, and it just goes in the history, bro. It's just legit.
So just a little perspective on how we all felt about it. One thing for sure is if you guys aren't into cars, like Rudy mentioned, the cast was really good. I felt like all the actors really they went well together. And even if you're not into the whole car scene, just in general being about based off of true story movies, you could, even after the movie, look back on things that were true and some things that were more fictionalized, and pretty much just learn the history for yourself. I don't know if that's just me, but coming out of this movie, it makes me want to research it more. There was this one scene. We're gonna throw up a spoiler alert for sure in the beginning, for people that haven't seen it, so that way we don't ruin it for you guys. But there was a scene where Carroll Shelby stole little little timers from Ferrari, the stopwatches from Ferrari. There was another scene where in order to get the door closed, they just hammered it shut. There was another scene where they pretty much came up with an old school method on how to test the aerodynamics of the car. There was several scenes on just pretty much, it was crazy because a lot of those scenes, I believe that most of them were true. and probably gonna follow up and see which ones weren't and which ones were kind of more for like the comedic aspect. But there was several scenes where it was just like, knowing that time period and how things went, it seems like that would have been like truth. Like it would have been how it would have played out. Cause I don't know, just the time that they were in, like that '60s era, that '60s time, it seems like it would be super chill, like to be around back then. So yeah, I feel like that's pretty much just what I feel about the movie. That even if you're not into cars, based on a true story, very good for those who like those types of movies. And I don't know, do any of you guys have anything else to add on? Rudy, get that?
Well, that's one thing too that I learned during the movie, that there's actually races that are for 24 hours. That threw me for a loop. Like, even though there's 2 drivers or however many drivers there are, just watching a race that's 24 hours is crazy. And for it to be one of the main races out there in the world, it's pretty good. Stuff to know. So that was cool, just knowing that, and then just the passion that each of these guys had for each of the races. And one thing was like, this guy, he goes after a certain goal and he gets it, and then I don't know, even it didn't end up the way he wanted it to, but he was still satisfied. I think that's just a lesson for us too, even if you for instance, you hit the race and you don't get first, but hey, you made top 3, or just look at the positive things in life. And that's what I got out of it. Whereas like, he was just content in racing, he was content in the whole journey. And that's another thing too, just being content with the journey instead of just the finish line, because he could have went through all that and then not finished the way he wanted it to, but end up being all disgruntled and being all discouraged. But he didn't. You see him happy as can be, and that's cool to see, and that's encouraging for us too, just to be the same, not just focus on the finish line, but just the journey. And that's life.
And back to what Carlos was saying, back in that time, I just thought about like the technology they had back then. It's nothing compared to today, Like the mechanic, like he was a mechanic, and he worked on his own car as a driver. He was a driver himself too, so he drove the Ford GT. And Ford tried to throw him like computers and stuff, and he's like, "Nah, I don't want this," because the computers weren't working. He just did everything by feel, Back then, everything was by feel and how he felt it, and he knew right away because he was a mechanic, so he already knew what was wrong with it, and also that it was crazy during the race. His brakes kept on going out because how fast they were going, He was going so fast that the brakes failed eventually because, bro, you need so much stopping power going around 210 miles per hour, Imagine, and stomping on the brakes to go into a sharper turn. So it was crazy how back then, instead of just changing the brakes and the brake rotors, it would have taken them way longer to do that. So he just thought of just taking out the whole knuckle, replacing the whole knuckle, because to replace the whole knuckle is just like 4 bolts. Pop out, pop in, Way easier than just doing the brake and brake rotors. So just watching that and thinking how they thought back then, instead of just changing one part, just change the whole thing. And him just tuning his own car, just working on his own car, knowing that he could do it himself, or he gets help by Shelby. And also one thing I didn't know about Shelby is that he started his own company. He was working as himself. Because I always thought that Shelby was part of Ford, but I didn't know that Shelby was his own thing at first, and then Ford talked to him to join to his racing division. That's something that really stood out to me, and I didn't know about. It was super sick.
Yeah, just how Carroll Shelby started out, I feel like that was a good, even if you do know the story of Le Mans, like if it's something that you're familiar with because you're all into cars, the movie has like a really good storyline that leads you through all the events that happen in real life, but just through that movie perspective that helps you really bring it all together. Like you kind of relive it, like you feel like you're almost there. And there was a lot of times, like this movie, for one thing, it makes you feel angry. It makes you feel pretty pissed. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of scenes where Ford as a company is trying to control what Shelby's doing with his driver. Ken Miles, which is the driver that raced for Le Mans that year, 66, in the Ford GT to beat Ferrari, they constantly were trying to pull him back because him as a driver, he was very, like, he was very full of himself. Like, he had an attitude for sure, and it wasn't a bad attitude. It wasn't anything that that would probably like be something major to not win the race, but it was something that Ford was so busy on their image as a company that they didn't really want the driver that was legit for the actual like position that would have won the race. So yeah, like, it makes you feel really upset sometimes. It makes you feel really pissed. You're really frustrated. In the beginning of the race, like, he can't close his door. You're just like sitting there the whole entire time, like wishing his door would close. And yeah, and I think that just plays on how real the movie is too. Like, it makes you feel like, okay, like, they're not trying to make everything look so like clean and amazing. Like, the cars got dirty, like engines blew up, like cars were flipping and doing kick flips and burning and blowing up, and like it was cool. Like, it was really raw, it was really real, and emotion was definitely attached to it. And for sure, for people who grew up during that era and were actually able to see it. So I think that it was really good for that understanding. And yeah, it was definitely something great. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys want to say next after this. How you doing, sir? Good, real good. We talked to one of the workers inside before they had closed, and we asked them if we could record later. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys can, but I don't know about the music. Like, how are you going to turn off the music? So, okay, no worries. No worries at all. All right. Yeah, definitely. Makes sense. Okay, we're just going to close it up real super fast. Is that fine? Okay, thank you, sir. Alrighty, so we're going to close up. Let's see, just close it up real fast.
So before we were rudely interrupted, we're saying go watch the movie. It'll take you high, it'll take you low, and it'll take you fast and slow. But it's a good watch. It's 5 out of 5. I want to say we all say it's a must watch, and hopefully next time we don't get interrupted by security.
Shout out to security. We love what they do. They're doing their job. We're not hating on you guys. If you're a security worker, security guard, we love what you do. But yeah, it's okay. So we're just gonna close it up. John Tron, close it out. Last thoughts, I guess. Just would you recommend people go see it?
I recommend you guys go see it. It's a really good movie. It's Ford versus Ferrari. If you like Ferrari, go watch it. You guys are gonna lose. And it's Ford. It's Ford GT. Who doesn't like Ford GT? V8. And that's it. See you later. Go watch it. Meow. Was it recording the whole time?
Meow.